Today's an exciting day. We just got our new wheel set for the stunt bagger build. So this one is the 21 by 3.5, and this one should be the 18 by 3.5. So we're gonna do a little unboxing and see how these are looking. So I ended up picking these up off Havoc Cycles. I think they were about $1,800 all in, which can't go wrong with that, especially for a Harley Davidson wheel, because every other brand out there is usually about $2,000 a wheel, especially for us Canadians. So this is, I decided to go with this because I see a lot of people stunt on these Ultima Manhattans, and you know, they seem to be holding up to the test. So I figured, you know what, why not give them a shot, see how they hold up. A lot of people in the Harley stunt page were saying that they personally ride these all the time, and they look pretty good, honestly, for around $800 a wheel. You know, I don't think that's a bad price. So we got those shipped in. This is a 21-inch one that we're looking at right now. Right now I'm going to unbox the 18-inch rear, and they're honestly really nice quality. Like, for being made in China, like I honestly think they're not that bad. The real test will be, though, like how they hold up when it comes to stunts, right? I mean, like any rim, you know, they all have their breaking points. And quite honestly, if budget wasn't a worry, I probably would have bought the Arlen S Y-spoke wheels, or the Pro Cross wheels, or even like an SMT wheel. SMT looks like they make some really nice wheels, you know, because honestly, when it comes to buying wheels for Harley Davidson that you're going to stunt, you really don't want something that's too over the top. Like for me, like I don't like designs that are super busy. These Ultima Manhattans actually look pretty nice. I would have definitely liked the revolvers as well if I could have found those, because they're just a simple looking wheel. But obviously you want something that's strong and that's not going to look too over the top. Right now here, I'm going to go ahead and weigh the wheels. So we'll test out this first 18 and see what that comes in as. So yeah, that comes in at just under 19 pounds for the rear. And then moving on, we're going to check what the 21 comes in at. I believe it was honestly not that far off. It almost like matches up pound for pound for what the wheel is, right? So like if it's a 21-inch wheel, it'll be like 21 pounds. Could be wrong though. We'll see what this one is. Yeah, so it's like 21.1 for a 21-inch wheel. So that's not too bad. The reason why I weighed them is because I wanted to see what everything was going to weigh in comparison to the stock wheels. And quite honestly, it's not that far off. I believe the stock wheels were about like 48 pounds for the rear and then 45 for the front. And they were 16s, Thunderstars. This next clip here is just me putting on the front rotors that I got off Marketplace. Because I'm running bagger Brembos in the front, so my 11.5 old rotors wouldn't work. So I picked up some Brembo rotors, or stock Brembo Harley rotors, for $50, which can't go wrong with that. Still have quite a bit of life left in. They'll get me by for a little bit till I can get some floating ones. I put my 11.5 floating rotor on the rear though, because I'm still going to be using the stock rear caliper, not the Brembo rear. All right, so we got the fresh Shinko in the mail for the bagger. We're running the 777 in the front, 120, 70, 21. Decided to go with that because that's what Sea Bear is running. So I'm just trying to kind of keep it simple to what all the bagger dudes run. And in the rear, we're going 180, 55, 18. So yeah, we're gonna get those mounted up tomorrow. All right, guys, we just came to pick up our wheels. I get them mounted at this place in Cambridge, Ontario called Top Gear Automotive. Honestly, I've been coming to these guys for years. They're really, really good. They will mount motorcycle tires and balance them literally for 20 bucks a wheel. And if you drop them off first thing in the morning, you'll get it back that same day. So yeah, if anybody in the area wants a good tire changer, this is a place to go to, honestly, because they're cheap and they're fast, and there's not many places that you can get both of those in one sentence. All right, so we're gonna weigh the new setup. Basically, the old wheels, the Thunderstars, were about 45 pounds a piece. So gonna see what these are. Starting with the 21, fully dressed. $45.2. That's actually not bad considering we went to a bigger rim and whatnot. Because the stock was literally this Thunderstar right here with rotors. I mean, obviously we don't have rotors on it anymore, but to test it out and show you, $35.8, that's with no rotors. Now we'll do the rear and see what that's weighing. This one's definitely gonna be heavy. Luckily the rear wheel's not coming off the ground, so we're good. So that one, 47. Plus, I mean, I'm probably gonna put, I don't know if I'm going chain drive yet. Obviously a chain drive sprocket wouldn't really add that much because it's all aluminum, but if I were to put the pulley back on, that's probably another 5 pounds. So yeah, that's to just give you an idea what the Ultima Manhattan wheel set would weigh in comparison to stock. All right guys, so here's a little update on the Glide. We finally got the Ultima Manhattan 21-inch by 3.5 in the front on. Honestly, I fucking love how these look. Makes the bike look super dope. Obviously it'll look better once everything's back together, but that's just a shot of the front wheel right there. I'm definitely gonna get a new fender because I thought the old fender would bolt up, but I was wrong. So I'm gonna get the Clockworks Henry fender is what my plan is. And then yeah, we're gonna put that on because the stock one won't bolt up to the 2014 lowers. I thought about getting a 2014 fender, but they just, honestly, they just look pretty ugly. So I think I'm just gonna get like the Dyna version, but for the bagger. And yeah, so once again, that's the front wheel. And then in the rear, finally got that one on there too. I don't have a sprocket or anything on it yet. I'm still debating what my options are because with that 180 tire, I definitely can't run the belt. And it looks like a pretty snug fit in there. I mean, it definitely fits, but it's snug, that's for sure. So yeah, we're gonna run the 180 tire like Sea-Bear does. And it looks dope, honestly. So in the rear, it's 18 by 3.5, and then we have a 180, 55, 18 for the tire. She's in there pretty snug though, let me tell you. You with the old pulley, you definitely can't run that on here. The belt would hit because these old baggers have, I believe, a 1.5 inch width belt. So I think I'm either gonna go with the Zippers kit or the Vulcan Works kit for the 150 tire. Because basically, according to Sea-Bear's dimensions, when you run the 180 on a 3.5 rim, it makes the 180 tire just slightly wider than a 150. So that's the Ultima wheel set on the bagger. Obviously, like I said, once everything's put back together, it'll look a lot better. I have a bunch of stuff out for powder coat right now, just waiting on that. And I can assemble my transmission back together, just like the covers and stuff like that. Motor is currently in Montreal right now still. What they had to do was sleeve the lifter bores and weld one of the pin bosses for the lifters because it was pretty worn down. I guess just from excessive vibration over the years and whatnot. So a few things we had to take care of on the motor before we could put it back together. Otherwise, we're just going to be wasting our money. As you can see too, I also put a 2002 harness from an Electroglide, got the coil all mounted up. So we're going to go EFI on this bike. We're going to throw a Thundermax on it because that's just what I want to do. I like the tunability of a Thundermax. I don't want to have to worry about rejetting my carb and all that nonsense that I have no clue about. Maybe one day I'll get a early model Dyna and run a carb on that and figure all the goodies. But I like fuel injection. I don't know, it's just what I've always liked. It's pretty plug and play. You know, both in my opinion have their pros and cons. There's a lot of people that love carb, and honestly, I really enjoyed carb too, to be honest. I love the sound of it and whatnot, but the only downfall I did not like about carb was that it just chewed through gas like crazy, and they're just not as tunable as EFI in the reality. But I'm sure there'll be a couple people in the comments that beg to differ on that. Yeah, we also put a Brembo RCS 19 master cylinder on there that I got from a buddy. He gave me a deal because it's a left-hand side one, but apparently with these Brembos you can run them flipped. So that's what I'm doing with that, just to save some money. I got all my gauge relocations and all that stuff out for powder coat. So we'll be able to toss that all back together. We're gonna get a new headlight, put the motor back together, get a Thundermax. There's still a pile of work to do to this thing, as you can see, but it's honestly a work in progress, and when it's done, it's gonna be pretty baller. I mean, I'm not gonna be able to finish everything that I want, I think, this year for the summer, because there's like small things that I'd like to do in the future, like, you know, get rid of all this chrome, powder coat all that gloss black, and you know, just stuff like that, that little things here and there that obviously cost money that I can't afford to do right now. So I'm just trying to take care of all the main things. So mechanically sound is the most important thing to me. You know, obviously looks for me comes second. You know, provided it's not going to look terrible, you know, it's still going to look good, but there's going to be little things here and there that are going to bug me more than they bug the average person to see. Like, for example, one thing I really wish I could have done was powder coat all the cases wrinkle black, because I'm just not a fan of blonde motors. But, you know, it's just not in the budget. So I might actually test out the VHT black on those when I put it all together. We'll see how I feel. But at the same time, I don't really want to spray paint anything on this bike, so I'd rather just do it the right way. But we'll see. We'll see how the budget goes, right? You know, it's just little things here and there that I'm not going to be able to do to this bike right now that I could probably do later on, but some of them won't be worth taking apart the whole bike again just to do, you know what I mean? So, yeah, one thing with these Ultima rims, by the way, too, is when you get them, make sure you put some bead sealer on the valve stems, because I actually had these leak on me on the front and the rear. So I guess whoever installed these didn't really install them properly, but even if they were installed tight, they still leak. So make sure you put bead sealer on the inside of those. I had to learn that lesson the hard way, unfortunately. I got these all mounted up, and then I had to take them back to the place again like a week later because I realized they were both flat. And that sucked because the 180 tire was pretty hard for the guys to get on, and they didn't want to tackle that again. I am using a Metzler Cruise Tech on the rear, which is an old tire that a buddy gave me. So that could be the reason why the 180 tire was really hard to get on. It was really hard to seat on the bead, according to the guys, but they got it. I'm sure with the Shinko 999, it'll be a little bit easier because it's a softer tire, I think, than this, but I could be wrong. Obviously the front one wasn't hard to get on because that's just pretty self-explanatory. It's the right size for that rim. If you guys know, these skinny tire baggers are usually made to run a 150, I'm pretty sure. And putting a 180 on a 3.5-inch rim is quite the feat for some people. I've heard other people have no problem doing it, but up here in Canada, I don't think many people are doing that. So, you know, it's quite a learning process. But, so yeah, that's the update on the bagger. Hopefully in the coming weeks, I will have a video on putting a cam chest together, building the motor from top to bottom. It's going to be my first Harley Davidson motor that I ever build. But yeah, it's been a slow grind on this thing. I'm not going to lie. It's been pretty tough just because I'm laid off my construction job right now for the season because it's wintertime here in Canada and we can't really do too much outside. Can't even show you, but it's pretty cold out there. And yeah, so money's been kind of tight, but I've been, you know, doing some side hustles here and there to try to fund this, as well as selling old parts to offset the cost of stuff, right? Because, you know, at the end of the day, I still got bills and I got other financial goals that I want to hit. So, you know, can't dig too deep into the bank account to ball out on this thing. I'm not sponsored or any of that shit, so a lot of this is out of my own pocket, and I'm totally okay with that, honestly, because I just love doing this, you know. But the money aspect can definitely get a little bit stressful at times when it comes to building bikes, just because, you know, building Harley bikes are definitely not cheap, not for the faint of heart. Yeah, it's just, you know, costs a lot of money. Luckily, I have a lot of skills myself to do a lot of the work, and if I don't, I know other people that have the skills that I'm lacking to help me out and get things done. So that being said, I'm pretty grateful with how far we've come, and hopefully you guys will get to see this one day where it's completely finished and we're ripping it, you know, because that's the plan. I just want to stunt a bagger, you know, it'll be fun. And honestly, I feel like this bike fits me a lot better than my Dyna. Feels like a more comfortable ride. And, you know, I want to keep both. We'll see what happens down the road. I would love to build my Dyna motor eventually in a couple of years, because that's definitely my first bike. And it's like, you know, your first love dies hard, right? So I definitely don't want to let go of that Dyna. You know, if I ever do let go of that Dyna, something catastrophic is probably happening in my life. But I'll hold on to that thing as long as I can. And same with this thing. Like, I'd be happy with just these two bikes for the rest of my life. The Dyna would be a nice stunt piece for when I want to learn new tricks and mess around. And then this one could be like my main riding / stunt piece. And I just want it to be a little bit nicer than a stunt piece. And yeah, so basically, slowly but surely, this bike is becoming a 2002 bike. Now, any of you guys wanting to buy baggers to stunt, buy anything from 2002 to 2005, so you don't have to deal with the bullshit that I've been doing. I had to do a lot of extra work to make this bike exactly how I wanted. Now, a lot of this would have been easier if I would have just got a 2002. I wouldn't have had to remount the tranny and get a whole new swing arm. But, you know, I got a good deal on this bagger, and not many are for sale around here, so I had to jump on it, and that's pretty much all there is to it. But if I could go back in time and there was unlimited amounts of baggers out there, which there wasn't, I would buy 2002 to 2005. 2002 is definitely going to have the better bottom end in the motor because it's going to have the Timken. But I mean, you know, even 2003 to 2005 would be fine. It just wouldn't have the Timken. But if you're planning on building the motor, none of that matters because you're going to put one in there anyways. Like when I build a Dyna, when I build my Dyna that's in the back, it's a 2007. That doesn't have a Timken bearing bottom end, but I'm definitely going to put one in there when I do build that up. If you're going to build something, you got to build it right? So when it comes to motor building too, like you can't really skimp out on that. So that's why with my motor build, like all the money is going to like the most important things. Like sure, like you can skimp out on some things that don't really matter, like the paint job, but you know, as far as mechanical, I want to make sure this thing is dialed. So, yeah, that's the bagger. Hope you guys enjoyed watching the content today. We are going to be hopefully bringing more soon. And yeah, we'll see what happens. Thanks for watching, guys. Take care.